Hi, this is Misha, and if you thought at first you were looking at an Intrepid class, i.e. Voyager or something like it, that is an understandable thing, at least until you get to the back. This is a look at the Yeager class, the USS Yeager. This is a love it or hate it design, and I happen to be in the love it class. I just think it's neat. Now, a lot of people have an issue with it, and we'll get to why, but to that I say, this is all fiction, so it doesn't matter. This is an Intrepid kit bash. We see it in the later seasons of Deep Space Nine. It helps to retake the station. It's one of the 650 some odd ships that the Federation sends. It obviously survives the battle, and then we see it on patrol in the Bajoran system thereafter. This is classified as a light cruiser. It is just over 400 meters long. It has a crew of 204 souls, as normal. So we are a little longer with a slightly heavier crew than the Intrepid class. And whereas the Intrepid was meant for exploration and science, the Yeager was designed really kind of very quickly, around 2373, after the Dominion and Borg again. It was designed very quickly, using kind of assemblies and parts and knowledge on hand to be used as a, well, frankly, a warship. It's a patrol and defensive system defensive class. There we go. And it is also designed where it can be rapidly deployed to reinforce fleets that have had heavy losses recently in combat. So you can send out a few of these to kind of bolster the fleet. It has a slightly lower warp. The Intrepid can do 9.97 maximum, but that's really pushing it. This does about 9.55 for max. So we're slow, but we're still faster than a lot of the, earlier, like Galaxy class generation ships. This has I can't talk. It's late, guys. You'll get it. Bio-neurocircuitry, like the Intrepid, so rapid response. It's not exactly the most heavily armed. We have typical phasers. We have just one photon torpedo launcher. And one or two sources claim that there is a phaser cannon. On the other hand, it has stronger than average hull armor. And this tends to be a very tough, durable ship. So, what do we have here? Well, the actual saucer is Intrepid. Move Deep Space Nine over here. And the engines are also from the Intrepid class, although it's safe to say that they can't move, they're just fixed in place. And then we have this engineering section or secondary hull, which in the real world is taken from the Marquis Raider, such as seen in the first episode of Voyager. In the universe, it's considered a large version of a Condor hull. In universe, the Maquis Raiders were once Federation system police and patrol craft in use during the Cardassian Wars. So 2340s, 2330s, 2350s time period. And that's how the Maquis got a hold of them, so we can say it's a scaled up version. That also explains the lower, maybe warp speed and everything, but it's a tried and tested system. And just again, we could say this is the jumbo version. It does give us very large impulse engines in the back. So we can assume that the impulse speed, the sublight speed, and maneuverability is very, very high with this ship, which would make it great as a combat vessel. Honestly, with the way it kind of has wings and everything, it seems like a Federation kind of like their take on a Klingon bird of prey. You know, see what I mean? Instead of guns, we have engines on the end of the wings, but yeah, I don't know. Kind of exactly what it is, a rapid response craft. So, again, it's a love it or hate it kit bash. I think it looks cool. Some people have a problem with the fact that we've got this Maquis Raider secondary hull, but I don't. I mean, this is fiction, guys. I like things to be consistent. Anyone who knows me knows I'm pretty much a stickler for numbers and details, but I think the thing just looks neat, and for kind of a background patrol ship in Deep Space Nine, I just like seeing the Voyager saucer in use somewhere else. It gives a certain early 2370s design aesthetic. It fits into kind of that whole wartime mentality. It reminds me, sort of, in World War II, we had the so-called Liberty ships, and they were merchant vessels thrown together very quickly and very cheaply, and in large numbers for the war. And there's plenty of other ships for the military that were also done like that in World War II. So during the war, sometimes you kind of end up with strange but effective emergency craft, and this would be kind of one of those craft. But anyway, I just like the design, and I think it's really neat that Eagle Moss did it. I think it's one of their better models too. The saucer is all metal, with the rear being the plastic part. In fact, one of the guys who works for me saw this, and he's mostly a Voyager fan. And he said, "Is that an Intrepid stuck on a Maquis Raider?" And I said, "Yeah." So I gave him one of these models when I had an extra one. The one came in, this happens with the Eagle Moss sometimes, the glue hadn't taken, and so the saucer and the hull were separated. They weren't broken, they just needed to be glued back. So I told Eagle Moss, and as always, they sent out a replacement, but it took a little while. By the time it got here, I'd already just glued this one back together, so I would never, ever sell an extra ship like that. That just wouldn't be honest, since they send them out as replacements, and I don't want to abuse their policies. But if the ship's repairable, I think it's honest to give it to a friend, and you never know. Giving him that one ship might end up having him buy more in their collections that might get him business. I try to be straight with companies. Oh, one thing I thought was neat. You notice there's no deflector on the secondary hull like you'd see on Voyager. Well, luckily the Voyager saucer has what would be on the show a secondary deflector. At the front, that little notch there in the saucer. So we actually do have a deflector on this, if maybe a bit of a little one. There and again, though, if it's being small like that in a combat ship, it's more protected and would be harder to hit. This is kind of, I know it's a coincidence, it wasn't something they designed, but I think it actually works really well. So yeah, the USS Yeager of the Yeager class, defender of Deep Space Nine. You can see it in a number of the later episodes. Well, if you enjoyed this at all, I'd appreciate like, share, subscribe, and feel free to chat in the comments. This is Misha, and I will catch you very soon next time.